And we're back. This is the Wabanaki Trailer Park.
These things just don't stop coming.
Everyone needs
And
a break.
we're going over
There's no sports in it.
2 missions from these two who are
We had a good little business
interesting.
going, me and Paul. We were doing all right. But I guess when you bleed the land eventually bleeds you back.
That wave 10 is some bullshit.
They run hunting tours to hunt wendigos.
A couple years back, whitetail season had taken a dip. Hard to make ends meet. Then I picked up the trail of something else out there. Stranger game. Older game.
It came like some weird providence.
All the old stories come to life. It didn't cross my mind anyone would pay to bag themselves a Wendigo or Sasquatch, but I'm not the brains of this outfit. Turns out a lot of folks would, when you ask in the right places. Folks from out of state.
Business is a bit slow, so if you're staying around, it's open season on whatever's got no right to walk or crawl here.
Yeah, just don't get bit by anything. I hate to have to put you down. You got a quarter, Annie?
My turn, isn't it?
So Falconeer, we unfortunately did not get a Native American guest to talk about Native American issues. Which is a shame, but hopefully someone drops by the thread.
Yeah.
But they are actually building a casino. Which is the most stereotypical thing I could think of.
Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah, and, and that's one of those. Talking about that isn't one of those things that I'm really qualified to do. So other than just like, there's the intersection between tribal law and government. But the way that they're technically sovereign entities within the United States is just it's complicated. But yeah, I think we've actually talked about this before.
We went over it a little bit, but neither of us are really read up on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted a Native American person to come in and talk. But we didn't have one, so it's just us. Most of the missions for the theme park trailer park. Theme park was another video. For the trailer park are your standard go here, kill this.
So there isn't all that much fascinating then.
Yeah, this is
It can't win every area.
Yeah, the next video should have some more interesting stuff. We go into, time travel, a mine full of zombies, stuff like that. Yeah, there's a stealth quote unquote mission next. I am not a fan of the stealth missions.
I was about to say, I bet you're looking forward for that. In the same way I was looking forward to the trailer.
It isn't that bad. It's just a little time consuming because you have to wait for the patrols.
Yep. Honestly, I've always really hated that particular kind of design. Because, while I'm fine with waiting, I want to be able to do something while I'm waiting other than staring at things. Looking at the map or planning further routes or something. Just waiting for patrols is grinding.
That's why when I thought about doing an LP of Alien Isolation, I was like, nah, 90% of that LP is me hiding in a corner.
Mm-hmm. Some games are easier to LP than others. And some games are easier to screenshot LP than others. It's kind of a shame that nobody outside of SA does screenshot LPs. They used to a little bit, but not really anymore. YouTube is much too powerful now.
The old ways are dying. I considered doing a screenshot LP of some stuff, but they're very intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And SA doesn't have automatic BB code for
What?
images.
Yeah.
So you have to manually do all
yeah.
that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking with that.
Even with LPICs, while it does give you the guide, it gives you all the code you need when you upload the pic. You can only do it one at a time. So, and there's also no way to edit those pictures other than deleting them once you've uploaded them. So, you do get unlimited uploads though. So, it's just frustrating. But yeah, it's just screenshot. Once you have, like, if do you know how to make a macro in Word?
In Word?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know how to make a macro in Excel?
Yes.
It's almost identical. They both use VBA. So you can basically just make a find and replace macro and start cloning it. And you can use that for portraits, to slap code on everything you need to slap code on. I have basically I can just put the images in. For the Kato Shoujo LP I'm doing, I can paste the images. Okay, I can copy paste the script, and then I can add images screenshots I took in, and I hit the macro, and it does all the coding for me. It puts all of the portraits in. It puts all the links in place. Does a little bits of other stuff to make things work right, and it's tough. It's difficult to work with in the same way that all code is difficult to work with, but it just makes things smooth. So that's how I do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's easy to do a screenshot LP, though. It just makes it faster.
The problem is I have time, but I'm also lazy.
Like, look, man. Yeah, okay, fair. But look, even doing this it's lower effort than a screenshot LP, but once you get into the groove, you'd be surprised. Like, it takes surprisingly little effort to actually do it. It's just time consuming. There's a lot of just, you enter a trance state and it just happens. But that's another story.
Yeah, that happens when I'm driving, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
For me, I hate driving. Because I can't do that. I end up paying attention to too many things at once for who knows how long. It doesn't help that I'm in an urban area. Well, not, a suburban area, which is better, but not by that much. So I'm just sort of constantly on watch. If I'm out in, like, the country and driving, that's a different story, because then I can zone out, because nothing's going to happen. But I always have to look out for an old person suddenly jamming on the brakes because they saw a sparrow or something, which happens a lot around here. Because I live near, like, 3 old folks' homes, all in a close radius.
That must be fun.
It's frustrating. Like, I'm trying not to be unfair about it, because there are plenty of terrible drivers who aren't old, but it's just, they're very slow and not very responsive.
And they all drive Buicks.
Around here, they all drive Chevys. Old Chevys. Gold Chevys. It's a shame. The one time I drove a Chevy, I loved it. It was the only smooth car I've ever driven. It was the only car I've ever enjoyed driving. But it's also an old people's car. And it's also expensive, because they keep trying to sell it as a high-powered sports car that just happens to be mostly driven by old people. So, oh well.
Yeah, most of what we do at the trailer park doesn't have to do with Native Americans. Like, it's just generic stuff. But there is one thing where we do a spirit quest.
Of course.
And then there's the dungeon that I'll do a video on. Sorry I had to do this, but I was full up on points.
You may as well just. There does come a point where you just have to unload. This looks like a lot like a focus tree from Hearts of Iron. Like, I've never played it, but I've seen enough of them in like LPs.
I consider doing an LP of Hearts of Iron, but I don't actually play Hearts of Iron. I cheat constantly.
Yes. Oh, same here. I like Crusader Kings too, and I used to like EU4, and I used infinite money cheats. Otherwise, I couldn't play them.
Right. So the production system in Hearts of Iron 4 is something I don't understand and don't try to understand. I just cheat equipment. So I can't actually show you the wonders of several mods.
I can't. My combat's my least favorite part of Paradox games. Or
Combat's
Paradox
easy in
Grind, sorry.
Hearts of Iron. In Hearts of Iron 4, the problem is getting enough XP to make a good division.
Yeah,
which is why I cheat.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole logistics, like even in Victoria too, the logistics of getting a full army with a good ratio of different kinds of units, and sending around tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of these people back and forth, it's just beyond me. I can't manage it, and it makes the rest of the game unplayable for me.
But yeah, there were a couple nation mods I wanted to show off, but again, I just cheat, so there's no point in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody would be like, ew, you're a cheater, and it's like, I'm here for the story of the mod, so...
Hey, that's what screenshots are good for. You just cut out all of the terrible stuff that you're doing. Yeah.
She makes sure I get paid by the hour. Anyway, you'll want to be prepared. They're a territorial bunch, the Pale Men, and they rile up in packs. You've got to use the land to your advantage. Get in the hunt and turn their pack mentality against them, same as you would with any other beast. Even though they're sure not the same as any other beast.
I swear it's as if they can hear what's going on inside your head.
So I'm pretty safe around them. I made it through to the surf once and caught sight of something in the fog. If it wants to stay there, that suits me.
Yeah, more dealing with the Draugr.
It was big.
Bigger than that Sasquatch last July?
Oh, hell yeah. He was 600 pounds, but mad with old age. Knew his time had come, and that's the way of things. But that creature out there doesn't play by any rules of nature.
I find it interesting that they're talking about hunting Sasquatches, and I was initially like, okay, that's weird and fucked up, because they're sentient. And then apparently they mention when they get old they go insane. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess it's euthanasia then.
Or maybe the writers weren't all talking to each other, which for an MMO is part of the course. Like, yeah. And also, I think Sasquatches are a West Coast thing.
Yeah, they are.
Because I've talked to a few Native Americans on this, and apparently that is the thing that they hate the most. That because these are entire different, basically, ethnicities across huge chunks of the continent that all get lumped together. You have like teepees from Great Plains Indians, and right next to totem poles from Northwestern Indians, and people in front of them are using peace pipes from Native Americans on the East Coast. And that plus you have the mouth, whatever it's called, the mouth noise thing, which nobody does. It was just invented for movies. It's just a bunch of stereotypes all lumped on top of each other, drowning out the actual cultures involved. And that sucks.
Yeah, well, white people never were very respectful.
Yeah. It's the nature of being a powerful culture. You don't have to care unless other cultures make you. Oh well. What a whatever.
But off that sad note, yeah, this is just more Draugr killing. We did that in the previous 2 areas, so there's really not a lot more to say. Though I am surprised they got away with bare tits.
Oh yeah, I mean they got away with bare tits in Dragon Age. But then it was
Yeah,
it
but
was
that
so
was
non-sexual.
that was a yeah, but that was a single player game. If you get my meaning, this had to be. I don't know. There's just something about an MMO that makes me think you got away with bare tits in an MMO.
It's just sheer amount of content makes it impossible. Like I remember, I think I mentioned this once. I found a quest in World of Warcraft that was really it was racist against black people. It really was.
Oh yeah, that one.
And nobody's ever said a word about it because it's so buried in World of Warcraft that no one will ever see it unless they're fully invested.
Yeah, I tried a bunch of MMOs because I've reached the end of most content in this one, and I couldn't find anything that was as good as this. That hit the right notes.
By the way,
I tried.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I tried Final Fantasy 15, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online. Nothing really hit the spot.
Yeah. Nothing's quite like this game out there. Yeah, there are a lot of cookie cutter MMOs out there, but there are a few big ones that are just like for me. That includes this game. It includes World of Warcraft, as many imitators as it has. City of Heroes, and what was the other one? God, it was one that wasn't obvious, but God, it's gonna come to me someday. But yeah, those don't. The Old Republic. Those have something that other competing properties just don't have. Doesn't mean they'll succeed.
Yeah, I tried
though.
Knights of the Old Republic as well. I'm not that huge of a Star Wars fan, so it didn't really leap out to me.
Yeah, or like the MMO or the Knights, the RPG.
The MMO.
I mean, I am a huge Star Wars fan, so it did not. The gameplay was just MMO fare, but story was better than you'd expect from. This was like BioWare back before EA turned it into EA's BioWare, and so it was well written, and so that was good. Like the Knights of the Old Republic games are still very good, and I'm almost certain I've discussed them in this LP, but it's very much it. I don't know.
So, you figure those Wendigo will be back? Gave them a solid whooping.
Of course they will.
The one thing that pricks me about the Wendigo in this game is Wendigo exists because you eat another person.
Mhm.
There are a lot of Wendigo here.
I believe I'll have another beer shirt. You want to lessen me or believe
What exactly happened? Because there's a lot of Wendigo here.
Hey, those cans crossed the line. And as far as I can tell, they were fair game from the moment I...
You know the legends of the Wendigo from TV, right? They were our people once, but cast out after they ate skin to save their own.
Changed them. Made them less than human. Eating the flesh of other humans. Much less. See, old Joe thinks that
God.
killing our face
Like-
is enough. It's his favorite stick to poke us.
They're actually clipping for the TV.
Shit. It ain't like we ate the rest of our family.
Yeah, that gut's all beer and burgers. Look, those stories can go jump in the Miskatonic. The's no redemption.
I like how,
Ending for
yeah,
these
there's a river here called the Miskatonic after H.P. Lovecraft.
Hmm.
mindless.
We're gonna show 'em we're off the menu. Indian style.
So we're gonna go kill some named Wendigo.
That looks like a fake player character. Do you,
We see a couple player characters in this, actually.
was that one of them? Because she was just kind of toddling
No,
around. Do you?
no. That's just like a roaming NPC.
Hmm.
The Golden Wigwam, just the most
Yeah.
stereotypical shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a lair. They're high-level multiplayer spaces, and sometimes there are short missions that go in here. I don't do lairs because they require multiplayer, and I'm on at odd hours usually, so...
Construction worker zombies are pretty great.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a lore hidden in this site, and I try to go looking for it, but I die, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
bother with it.
That's one of those things where it's just like, who cares? And in this game, given how
I think it's one of the Wabanaki lores, but I already got it in my other game, in my other characters, so I don't really care.
hmm
I haven't had anyone sign on to do another LP, so I'm guessing either not enough people watch the video or no one's interested. So
hmm
just a huge line of bad guys following me.
and just kite them everywhere.
That is generally what you do if you're low level and you have to go to one of these places. Is you just kite everyone.
hmm You just kite everyone and hope, because like when you have to do these interactions, that's just you're just sitting and getting beat up by random people. Like that guy
Yeah,
who
but the
just
good
spawned
news the good news is this isn't one of those games where you're punished for dying.
in. And I mean, the fact that you die without penalties is a plot point.
Right. And the lore is all the way at the top of the structure on a hanging beam you have to jump to.
Beautiful, perfect. I'd like the zombies all standing in a row there.
Yeah, and I completely missed the stairs and try it for a ladder, and it doesn't go well. Because they can't follow you up ladders. But that happened, and I don't know why.
Physical exhaustion. I guess you really hated climbing that ladder.
I'm guessing. So instead I just go, fuck it. And go back to the other mission I was doing after I dropped this stuff off.
Speaking of things that don't have anything to do with whatever we were talking about, have you heard about the treasure hunting foxes in Skyrim and the recent revelations around them?
Yes, that was very interesting and unintentional.
It's emergent,
Uh,
true emergent gameplay.
yeah, unintentional coding caused emergent gameplay.
For those of you who aren't familiar, which probably a few people watching this, but I want to talk about it anyway, so whatever. In Skyrim, there are foxes that, if you startle them, they tend to lead you towards maybe buried treasure, maybe sites, maybe hidden sites, something. What happens is, like a lot of big games, Skyrim has a sort of mesh that people use to navigate, that NPCs use to navigate, and they interact with it from like square to square, and pathing between those squares is how they figure out how to come towards you or go away or whatever. Foxes are only programmed to run away. They can't do anything else other than wander around at random when they're not doing anything, when they don't see you. And they're set up to run, I think, like 100 polygons away across the map in the most efficient and fastest way possible. Except there's a quirk to it, because in the map, the big open areas where there's nothing have big polygons, because you don't have to worry about, well, because this is Bethesda, they don't have to worry about programming it, so they don't bother programming it, and with the inevitable glitches that result. But for sites where there's like, even if it's just like a treasure chest hidden somewhere, or if it's a hidden site, or this sort of place that shows up at a map, those have a lot of polygons so people can, do what passes for tactics in the Bethesda game. And a fox will chart a route that goes through the most polygons as fast as possible. And since these areas have a bunch of little polygons, that means that they can go through all of those polygons really quickly. And they will run away from you towards the nearest site. And if you follow them, you'll find treasure. And that's something that it took the devs by surprise when they saw that. And it took them digging to find out what was going on, because they had no idea what was happening. And it's neat to see that in a big title. Even though, it's Skyrim. Skyrim is
Buggy.
Skyrim often talking about Skyrim ends up talking about what your favorite glitches are sometimes. So, but yeah, this is aside from glitches as emergent gameplay. It's fun, neat.
The only interesting thing about this quest is you have to get Akab meat, and they call it juicy Akab meat, which made me think, can you eat them? And what would they taste like?
You can almost like we've talked about, they're animals, so you can almost certainly eat them, and they won't like filth you probably. The question is, do you think they're toxic or not?
Well, I don't think they're toxic necessarily. There might be parts of their body that are poisonous. They spit poison.
Yeah, but
so there's like a poison gland. But other than that, I suppose they're good to eat. But I'm just wondering what they taste like, because they're clearly not mammalian. They look insectile. But they're also not insects. Like, I don't.
Yeah, there is they're not quite mammalian, but they definitely as insectile as they look, like they have compound eyes, I think. Their bodies do have their bodies are vaguely mammalian.
Yeah,
underneath
they're
it
not
all.
exoskeletal.
Yeah, there's no exoskeleton, there's no scales or feathers. There's clear skin. So I bet you could cook their wings. I bet you could fry them like you can fry insects.
My dad has like a cast iron stomach, and he used to travel a lot for business. So whenever he would go somewhere, they would pull out the food that they don't eat, but they want to watch the white guy eat.
Yeah.
So fried crickets in Mexico, sea cucumber in Japan, whatever. And he said the fried crickets weren't that bad. They were like salty snacks you would have with beer.
I mean,
He said he hated the sea cucumber, though. He fucking hated the sea cucumber.
yeah, I've had sea urchin before. It is disgusting. It is really terrible. And not in it. It
He
is
said sea urchin just isn't worth it because it's a lot of work to get the meat out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who fucking loves wasabi and spicy food, so you know he's fine with whatever.
I mean, for me, it's the texture that makes sea urchin inedible. The taste itself is actually
I
nice.
have autism. Texture is just a downfall.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, same. But like,
I can't eat brisket. I don't like the texture of brisket. I love beef, but I can't eat a beef brisket because the texture is just terrible. It's the same reason I can't eat pulled pork.
Yeah, I can't do beans. Any kind of beans. I can't do most kinds of mushy textures.
Oh, I hate mushy things unless it's mashed potatoes. I
Yeah,
fucking love potatoes.
Yeah, mashed potatoes are different. Like, I've had mushy mashed potatoes. Those are just bad in general.
Well, anyone will agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Mashed
Exactly.
potatoes have to have a texture to them. They have to be not firm exactly, but they have to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
My sister made garlic mashed potatoes on Thursday, and it was just, oh my god. You scooped them out of the bowl and they wouldn't come off the spoon. They were that good.
Last month, you didn't even care about the difference between a tomahawk and a.
And they mentioned something we'd been talking about, like the mushing together of native beliefs from different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. On the way back, we
But we're gonna fight Jack-o'-lantern for the last time. Sometimes when you kill him, he'll drop like an item that you can use to upgrade your museum.
And it ain't torches. That place always gave me the creeps.
The museum is just some real bullshit because the stuff you use to upgrade the museum is also the stuff you use to upgrade your weapons and talismans and stuff, and it requires a lot more for the museum. And you have to kill like 10,000 of something to get all the way upgraded. And all it does is give you like a 3% damage bonus, and it's like, it's so not worth it. It's just a completionist thing.
We'll let those brothers beat each other up. Yeah. It's...
I mean, I get why they added it, you know, something for the completionists and the people who play this religiously.
Yeah. And that the damage bonus is just a cherry on top.
A fun little... Yeah, just a fun little thing. But we're dealing with more evil scarecrows.
Yeah, this is ultimately an MMO, and that's its downfall. It would have done better I think it would have been better if there was like the modern approach of having a single player campaign with multiplayer elements in the middle. That it may have worked better if you could have just switched that around and kept the experience.
This would have been an
focused.
amazing single player game.
Yeah.
If this was just a single player game, it would have sold out.
Yeah. This would be a franchise.
And we would have a number of sequels, but we don't.
Yeah, it would have already been turned into a generic loot box microtransaction vehicle and drowned to death by now. It would have been that kind of popular. But
well, I don't think the game type really works for microtransactions. This is more an RPG focused thing.
Oh, you are underestimating corporate America, my friend.
I haven't seen any RPGs fall to that. So
what was it? Shadows of Mordor.
I wouldn't consider that an RPG. That's an action game.
Okay, fair. Then I mean,
nor would I consider
MMO
Assassin's Creed an RPG. That's an action game.
That one's definitely an action game. Honestly, I see this as more an action game than an RPG. It has RPG elements, but then so do they. And the funny thing about MMOs is that by necessity, they have to use RPG mechanics in a sort of action manner. So it would really end up looking like a different game if it was an actual RPG.
Yes, but the attraction of this isn't the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's the story and the lore.
Yeah. It's just what would this look like as a single player game? Would it be like what how do you think the game would even be structured? Like it would probably be real time like this. But
Well, you definitely have companions.
yeah. Oh yes. And
I'd love to see original BioWare tackle this.
yeah, original BioWare would do pretty good with this. Actually, I don't think they handle horror all that well outside of a few specific kinds. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there. But technically, this isn't a horror game. This specific brand of like super modern supernatural stuff is. They never did anything. I don't think did BioWare ever do anything that wasn't either firm sci-fi or firm fantasy.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, this is kind of out of their wheelhouse.
Well, original BioWare could stretch it, but EA BioWare couldn't.
Oh yeah, I mean modern EA, like EA BioWare is another beast entirely. We're talking about original BioWare here.
Original BioWare, I think, could do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But,
they did. This is the company that jumped into wuxia and just like made Jade Empire. Granted, Jade Empire was like the worst of their original games, which means it's just pretty good rather than great.
This is the Spirit Vision quest. You go into the Wabanaki afterlife and fight the filth.
The mountains are crumbling. The forests burning. The earth trembles.
You learn a little bit about the filth here.
Oh. Pardon me, I've been dozing off at all hours of the day. God's sleep hard to find. For both the living and the dead. When we sleep, we dream. And when we dream, we speak.
So have you been playing... Oh, you can't do video games, really. I was about to talk about Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, I mean, I tried Psychonauts 1 once. I couldn't get into the mechanics. I'll watch an LP of it someday.
It's good. It's super good.
I've paid attention to a lot of the Double Fine stuff that's just not that great. Did they manage to like fix whatever their issues were? Because the writing
Well,
was always kind of a little too. You could tell they had a high opinion of their writing skill. Actually, we should probably shut up so people can listen to the lore.
Oh, there's subtitles.
Yeah. I don't know.
And plus, my editor always turns down the dialogue so that you can hear us, so...
Yeah.
He's referring to the serpent, and we'll learn more about that in Tokyo. But the filth is not a single thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just leave it at that. It's not a single entity.
Yeah, there's a level of stuff that's in here that would count as spoilers if you had any context for it.
Yeah.
We must catch their dreams so that we can all sleep soundly again.
And now we fight ghosts with a dreamcatcher.
Quick access inventory.
Let me think. Where do Dreamcatchers start? Where are Dreamcatchers from? Because I'm almost certain, like, spirit quests in this kind are not native to that area. Let me see. Nope. I mean, it looks like they're from the Ojibwe, which were like it's now sort of like Ontario-ish. So is it a part of the same cultural like system, but the complete opposite end from the Wabanaki? So oh well.
Yeah, I fall in a hole that there, there's an area here, the old mine, and there's like a path that is blocked off that never gets unblocked. So it's really easy to look at the map and go, oh, I can get through here, and no, you can't. There's another lore that you have to jump for up on top of this building.
Are there? I don't remember. Like at this point in the area, when I was both times I played it, I was just like, I don't care. I want to get to the next area, so I skip most of the side quests. Do we ever get quests into the Blue Ridge mine?
Yes.
Okay.
You get to see the mine and put to rest the dead inside it.
Mm-hmm. Because we got labor
It is a stealth level. It's the stealth level I was talking about.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Is that... Do they have a shotgun?
That guy does.
And it is kind of amusing just how inconsequential it is. Like, it does actual damage to us, but it's just not much more than hitting us hard with something. Yeah. So
I thought about writing a terrible fanfic that was a novelization of this game, and then I gave up.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
But I also considered writing a terrible fanfic that was one of these folks finding themselves in the story Worm, because those are always popular on the internet.
Yeah, pretty much. Look, I once considered writing a fan fiction of Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I turned it into an LP. It's now in the LP archive. Like, you don't have to worry too much about any kind of reputation there. Okay, so...
So yeah, we're fighting more filth stuff, and these are the spirits of Wabanaki dead that have been corrupted by the filth. So even in the afterlife, you are not free of the filth.
Mm-mm.
They are really a very existential threat.
So it's interesting. I'm doing some cramming for as I speak for the Blue Ridge Mine because I'm from Chicago, which means labor history is something that I have to be familiar with if I want to have any familiarity. Is that another player?
That's another player.
Yeah.
You see her a couple times.
Yeah. And I have to be familiar with labor history in order to be a Chicagoan. Because that's... It's why the same demographics that support cops in other areas hate cops here. Just loathe them.
Well, Chicago cops have fucking torture black sites that
yeah,
no
they
one
do.
knows anything about, so...
And look, let me tell you, when we heard about that, it was not shocking. We were just sort of like, yep. And when news broke of a cop that took out a hit on his investigator by contacting, like, he got caught in a sting and trying to hire an assassin, and then tried to, during his trial, talk about all the good he did and how that excuses him hiring, trying to pay someone to commit murder. And we're like, yeah, that sounds like Chicago cops. But
ACAB.
This is, but yeah, Chicago has a long history of the cops just brutalizing minorities, and Chicago's a city of neighborhoods. Every ethnicity still has its community, which means just about every ethnicity remembers what the cops did to them. So it's not great.
There's a reason in the Hearts of Iron 4 mod, Kaiser Reich, Chicago is the head of the syndicalist. The mod I wanted to do for Hearts of Iron 4 was actually Equestria at War, which has an insane amount of in-depth lore and mods.
Yeah.
Oh god, I wanted to do Equestria, and I wanted to show you the Civil War, and Oh my god, if you fuck up and the changelings take over, you can do a full resistance thing and come back. And apparently it's very good, according to the people who have done it.
Yeah,
I'm actually playing a game right now as the Griffin Republicans.
that's one of those things that, I guess if you go ham at it and you care, it comes out better than you'd expect.
Oh yeah, they spent a lot of time and they're still doing it. And someone's actually made, the Hearts of Iron 4 mod, the New Order.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's an Axis victory mod that's very in depth.
Mhm.
Someone's making a version of that for Equestria at War.
God. But I do like this. What, the New Order and what's the other Axis victory one?
The 1,000-Week Reich.
Yeah, I remember reading about both of them, and both of them were not fascists jerking themselves off. Were actually
very much not.
Yeah, they were both pretty uncompromising about how God, this is the government that had 3 separate of administrative systems, all of which had ill-defined areas of control, and all of them were fighting and at times killing members of the other government departments. And the fascists are always really good at information control, so they have great propaganda, and you give them any kind of actual power, and you get that. So I remember hearing both of those mods can talk a lot about just what happens when you give fascists power and without any kind of challenge.
Yeah, but it's also known for the Sablin path, which is a little unrealistic. It's very much a Mary Sue socialist victory.
The what?
Which, I mean, if you want to see that is amazing. I mean, it's really well written, but it is very unrealistic. Even more unrealistic than the Nazis winning.
Yeah.
Is some guy in Siberia reuniting all of Russia under an actual good socialist Leninist system.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that as a supporter of socialism. Yeah, you're not gonna do that, dude. There's no problem you can't overcome in it, and it's
no. I would not call myself a socialist, but I also wouldn't call myself a capitalist. But there's no such thing. Anything that managed to line up with Leninist principles and carry them through would not be what we would call good. It would be a dictatorship.
But comrade, it is a dictatorship of the proletariat.
And by the proletariat, you mean the guy who's about to let Stalin come to power.
You mean the Vanguard Party, yes.
God.
I need to find that GIF that's steamed hams, but it's just a guy, Chalmers, reacting to the Soviet Union or whatever.
Wait, do you also pronounce it Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. There are other people who know how to pronounce it correctly.
I never understood the GIF remark. It's GIF.
Yeah, it's Jeff. It's
and now the thread is ruined.
Yeah, and now people are going to... yeah, 3 pages of people swearing at us before the mods lock the thread. Yeah.
I like what old Joe said there is so you expected to be whisked away? That's not how Dream Quest worked, dude. He actually says you've been reading too many comic books.
Yep. And
instead we get high and find the portal in the graveyard. Yeah, I'm over leveled for this part.
I have a sneaking suspicion overleveling is going to be a way of life by the end of this.
Oh yeah, until you hit level 50, and then it becomes all about your gear,
hmm
and it's just grinding for gear.
Well, I mean, nobody plays this. Well, maybe not nobody, but we're not playing this for the gameplay. That just means you can get from story part to story part faster.
Ashes to fell, flesh to dust. I like how they name these abilities very well.
Mhm.
They're always thematic.
They did the same for the old, even though they didn't always make sense. They did the same for the old like color wheel abilities. I will always remember how Chaos Magic had the names of all of their abilities were terms from chaos theory.
Were any of them references to Jurassic Park?
I don't think so, unfortunately.
How can you make a bunch of chaos theory references and not reference Dr. Ian Malcolm?
Yes.
He taught us all about chaos theory.
Look, I've never seen Jurassic Park.
Oh, you've never seen Jurassic Park?
Look, let me put it this way. I don't like character death at all, for various reasons, so I've never seen Jurassic Park.
Well, nobody important dies.
Yeah, that doesn't cut it for me. Like it's a long story why that's the case, but there's a lot of stuff out there that I just cannot watch.
Man, horror movies. You must not like horror movies.
Well, I have been saying this whole time I don't like horror movies. I do not like horror. There are kinds of horror I like, but I just don't like the way that I don't like being scared, and I don't like character death unless it has like a meaning and foreshadowing.
Oh well, then you'd actually like Jurassic Park.
Well, I don't know.
Did you read the book at least?
Nope.
Oh, the book is also very good.
I have heard that. I have read some Crichton stuff in the past, and he is a good author. And like all good horror authors, there aren't like Stephen King. I'd classify his stuff as more thriller than horror most of the time. Wait, actually, what are we talking? Why am I talking about Jurassic Park like it's a horror film? I got some wires got crossed in my head. Yeah, he did write horror.
There are parts
though.
of it that are scary.
Yeah. Parts of A Hat in Time are scary, and I wouldn't call that horror.
No, what the horror part of A Hat in Time is the fan base.
Okay, that too. But
A lot of them are pedophiles.
Any good and famous piece of work just gets worse fan base.
See, for example, My Little Pony.
Yeah. Oh, that's a golden example. I did watch.
I say this as someone who, okay, I have to say this. I go on the MLP board on 4chan a lot. There's a thread I like where there are occasionally very good little green text. But I saw someone post, "Poor Freckles thought of ants and died." Someone else from Something Awful was on that fucking forum.
I'm not surprised. There's, what, God. But yeah, I remember that was a good show. It was a very good show, and it attracted a lot of really creepy people who got really
Didn't
caught up in parts
understand
of
the
it.
point of the show.
Yeah, I talked about this on Something Awful years ago. It was like there are a lot of people who half absorbed, like, who heard friendship is magic, and the whole thing there, and actually heard people should accept us no matter what our flaws are, which means we can just let our flaws hang out. And once people got sick of that, they just pulled back into themselves and decided everybody else was a bunch of hypocrites, and they became.
I'm talking
bronies.
more about the racism and fascism.
Yeah. Oh God, Why is fascism so popular in that area? I don't understand it.
Well, we're at the end. This is where we'll be next time. See ya.
See ya.